One of the biggest struggles that marketers, entrepreneurs, and creators struggle with is knowing whether or not the things that they're doing are actually working. We have a limited amount of time, and we tend to, once we figure something out, set it in motion and do it over and over and over again until some event causes us to reconsider whether it's worthy to continue to do that or not. And I'm here to tell you that I think this is one of the big mistakes that marketers make that stops them from getting where they want to go. And I'm here to tell you, we make this mistake at Social Media Examiner. We tend to do the same things over and over again because in our mind, it logically makes sense. Let me give you an example. Our main product, as you may know, is Social Media Marketing World, and we have all these different shows. But we only have one live show called the Social Media Marketing Talk Show. And this show we broadcast live on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. We also strip the audio out and we publish it in podcast form. And we've been doing it this way literally for years. And the moment we set up this live stream, a little ad, if you will, goes out on the social platforms that says, hey, we're going live on this date. And then the actual live video happens again. Now, it wasn't until recently I asked myself, okay, is this stuff actually working? And I went and I looked at the analytics and I looked at YouTube and I looked at Twitter and I looked at LinkedIn and I looked at Facebook and I said to myself, okay, what's actually happening? And to my shock, I began to realize that the reach had plummeted on everything except for YouTube. There was almost no reach at all on our live shows. So I met with my editorial director and we made the decision, hey, this isn't really working. So we decided to broadcast it only to YouTube. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, what have we got to lose? Why not just let it broadcast everywhere? And I'm here to tell you, I don't think that's wise for the following reasons, because I believe the algorithm is smart enough to look at all of what you're doing and to discern whether or not what you're doing is having an engaged audience. And I believe the more engaged your audiences are on the various social platforms, the more likelihood people will see your future posts. So we decided to stop doing this. In addition, stopping doing this makes room for something new. And this is something that I talk about with my staff a lot, which is what's our stopping list? We need to have a stopping list. We need to constantly be stopping doing things, because when we stop doing things, it makes margin for new opportunities. So because we've just made this decision to stop streaming live on all the platforms except for YouTube, it's now opening us up for other opportunities. For example, to experiment with long form written content, to experiment with direct to camera video. So how do you discern whether or not it's working or not? Well, I think one of the first things you need to do is you need to start tracking. If you're not analyzing the information regularly and you just assume it's working, then, that might be a problem. So start by maybe putting a Google sheet together and start analyzing the various types of content that you produce and ask yourself whether or not it's worth it. Now, you might have this limiting belief that any audience is worth it, but I don't think that's necessarily true. Ideally, you come up with a benchmark, compete against yourself, look at your most highest engaging content on the various social platforms and say, hey, we want to be at least maybe 85% of that, 75% of that. If we can't get there, then let's consider trying something new. Because if you don't have a motivation to try something new, you're never going to try something new. And here's the truth. The social platforms are constantly changing, and doing what you've always done perhaps may be the biggest mistake you've ever made. Now, I'm not here to tell you that live video doesn't work. I absolutely believe it does work, but I believe that the platforms are getting smart and they're looking at whether or not this content is originating on platform X. If it's not originating on platform X, they're probably deprioritizing it. Now, this doesn't mean you can't go live on Facebook directly, or live on Twitter directly, or live on whatever platform directly. But what it does mean is perhaps we're getting to the day where we're distributing content across all the platforms and expecting it to work equally is coming to an end. Even this video, I'm beginning to track how well this video is performing when I post it on Instagram and when I post it on YouTube and when I post it on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook. And so far, it's really fascinating. So far, the early research is showing me that, believe it or not, long form content on Instagram is rivaling YouTube right now, at least in the short run. And everything else is doing just okay. Twitter, just okay. LinkedIn, pretty good. Facebook, not so much. So it's too early for me to tell, but I am tracking all of this information. I'm analyzing this information. And then with that data, I can make intelligent decisions. So I want to ask you, do you track regularly the things that you're doing? And then do you compare how they're performing? Do you watch for patterns? How about a year ago compared to today? If you start noticing trends like things incrementally moving up or down or incrementally moving up, then maybe that's a sign that you ought to change. Create, maintain, analyze is something I talk about inside my company. You want to create content, you want to maintain what you're doing, and you want to analyze it. And a lot of us forget the analysis side of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with my perception that we should go back and regularly analyze and stop doing things, even if you don't know what to replace it with, so that you make margin for something new? Let me know in the comments below. My name is Michael Stelzner. Thank you so much for listening to today's video.